All right, so we're going to talk about multiplying first. So when you were younger, they used X for multiplying. Typically, we don't use X for doing times anymore because X is used typically as a variable. And so that would be confusing. So instead, we use the dot, typically like 5 times 6, or we use 5, and then, sorry, parentheses 6. Wow, that's awesome. Or parentheses 5 times 6. Those are all the same. Here, let's try text. Or we can go like this, 6 times 5, like that. Or you can have -5, and then you can have parentheses 6. Now, when you're doing things like PEMDAS, these are not parentheses in the sense of parentheses. This is multiplication. So when you're doing it, this is multiplication, but not parentheses. Like parentheses would be like 5 plus 6 to isolate an operation like addition. Right here, all that is to declare like this is for multiplication here, if that makes sense. Okay? I hope that makes sense. We'll make it more clear as we go along. Okay? So don't be afraid to use the chat to ask questions. Okay, people? Good. All right, let's go on. But these all mean the same. Like, so this is multiplication, this is multiplication. The dot is a common way of indicating multiplication. When you have a negative will commonly be like we have a negative, so they don't want you to be thinking that it's a subtraction. They'll have parentheses used to capture the negative, like that. So that's multiplication, and it's used to isolate the negative. So it'd be -6 times 5. All right. So those are all different ways to show how to do multiplication. Okay, so let's move on. Let's see, do we have anybody else doing any chatting or anything like that right now? All right, it looks like we're good so far. I think we're good. All right, so let's go on to the next part. Let's go, oh, do a chat. Anybody asking? All right, Kimmy's here, good. All right, we're good. So one of the things I like to clarify when we're doing multiplication is kind of an odd versus even. All right. And so let me get rid of this. Let's clear this out. And so when you have a negative, whoops, let's get rid of this. Let's go draw. Clear this. Go here. Go, oh. Draw. Negative times a positive. You have 1, that's going to be equal, sorry, erase that. That's going to equal a negative. If you have a negative times a negative, that's going to equal a positive. Now, if you have a negative times a negative times negative, that's going to equal negative. I should have had these a little bit better lined up here. If you have a negative times a negative times a negative times a negative, that's going to equal a positive. Let's get rid of these 3 here. So over here, you have negative, positive, negative. And if you notice, let's go with this. Here, this is odd, even, odd, even. If you notice, there's a pattern, okay? So if you have 1 negative, or if you have one negative, it's odd, and it's going to be negative. If you have 2 negative numbers, it's even, and it's going to be positive. If you have 3, it's going to be negative, and that's an odd number. If you have 4, that's even, and it's going to be positive. So you notice that is a, thank you. If you notice, that's going to be, there's a pattern. So if it's an odd number of negatives, it's going to be negative. If it's an even number of negative numbers, it's going to be positive. Okay, that's the pattern. So anytime you have a problem, a multiplication problem, so I'm going to clear this off. So if we go like this, if we go negative 5, oh, now keep in mind, I just went off and I told you to use dots, but we don't have the dot, or you know what, here, we're going to go like this, asterisk times negative 6 times negative 8. Okay, that right there, there's 1, 2, 3. That's an odd number of negative numbers. I automatically know that's going to be a negative number. All I have to do is count that up. Negative number, automatic in your head. You know, piece of cake, it's going to be a negative number. 5 times 6 is 30, times 8. 8 times 3 is 24. You add a 0. That's going to be negative 240. Okay? Now, same as what we just did on the problems yesterday, there are, if you weren't here yesterday, there's 46 problems on the set test. 41 you can use the calculator for, 5 of which you cannot. So you have 5 that you can't use the calculator for. So you're going to have to know your times tables, I'd say up to at least up through your 12s. I'd say I try to know them up through at least your 15s in your head. It's good to know them just in general, just to help save yourself time during the tests, so you're not having to go off and punch them in to your calculator. Now think to yourself, when you use your cell phone, how often do you get texts from your friends or texts that you do yourself where you have all kinds of a bunch of typos and such? Now think about what you might do when you're doing that on a calculator. I mean, you can't tell me you're not going to make a mistake when you enter numbers on your calculator. So the big thing is make sure that you know your multiplication tables up through about 15 in your head, so you know the obvious typos that you may do when you're typing in the numbers. So if you do make a mistake, when you look at it, you go, oh, that's obviously wrong. I need to redo that again on my calculator and try that over again. So you're not going off and missing easy points. And like I said yesterday, we hit at about a 78% pass rate for our math tests. Out of those that we miss, a third of those miss by, they get a 143 or a 144. And so one or two problems where people can get those right, I imagine quite a few of those are the problems like this where they can go off and get the easy points with the use or without the use of the calculator. So you don't want to be that person. All right. Let's go ahead and let's do a few of these. Does anybody have any questions so far? Nothing? I don't see anything. Chat. All right, we'll keep going. Here we go. All right, let's do a few practice here. So if we have, I'm going to do text so you guys can actually read these, all right? And these are going to be, I do not want you using a calculator, okay? These are kind of by hand. If you go -5 times 4 times 3. Let's go. Try a couple of those on your own. I wonder if we could do chat on that. You guys want to try that, or I don't know. This is all new, so we're just trying different stuff. You guys know how to do that or no? Do you guys want to try that, or you guys go ahead and try those on your own? I'll I'll just keep going. Here we go. All right. So here, let's do a different problem here. So we have, if we have this type of a problem, whoops, here, if we have, if you see something like this, 25 times 4 over 2. Okay. This is a two-step type of problem, okay? So in this case, not only are we doing multiplication, 25 times 4, but you're also doing division. So you have 25 times 4, which is 100. You have 100. And then you have to divide by 2, and that equals 50. Okay. Now let's go back to these last two here, since you guys probably already got these. Negative 5 times 4 is 20. Negative 20 times 3, which is negative 60. And then you have negative 4 times 6 is negative 24 times 5, which is negative 120. It's a negative times a positive times a positive. I'm going to clear this off. Right there. All right, let's go with this. We have 12 divided by negative 4. Okay. Now, a positive divided by a negative, that's going to be the same as the same principle as we do the multiplication problem. So if we have a positive divided by a negative, so we have positive divided by a negative, that's also going to equal a negative, because it's going to take a negative times a negative is going to equal a positive. So 12 divided by negative 4 is going to equal negative 3. And it's just the same as 3 times 4 equals 12. And in this case, a negative times a negative equals a positive. We had a chat up here, I saw. Let me look. Let me look here. Where did it go? There we go. Chat. Nice job, Kimmy. 2 thumbs up. All right, let's go back. Let me put this over in the corner. You guys can see that. I'm going to put that and minimize that. Okay. Let's do more multiplication ones, okay? I'm going to do, I'll do 3 multiplication ones. Does that sound okay? I'm going to say yes. Okay. We're going to do 7 times negative 3. 3 times negative 2 times, whoops, sorry. Yeah, times, times negative 2 times negative 2, okay? And then we're going to do 5 times negative 4 times negative 2. All right. All right. You guys work on those. I'm going to keep talking a little bit, okay? Let's do this. Oh, you guys are working on that. Now, while we have that, I can't do division like that without a line. I'm going to have to free draw this one. Let's free draw it. Oh, shoot, I just cleared that off. Darn it. Undo. Look at that. Whew. Let's do this. All right. I'm going to do this. Like that. All right, here we have the same as division. Okay. And we can have something like, if we have 7 plus 3 over 5. Okay. Now we can do this. We have different operations that we have to do first. But these operations are separated by the division sign. Okay. So you have the division sign, but first, before we do division, we have to do 7 plus 3. So 7 plus 3 is 10. And then we have 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So that's pretty easy, but just keep in mind you have to do 7 plus 3, and you have to divide by 5. All right, so are we set? Do we feel like we're set? I'm not very good at getting this chat stuff up. Let me see. You guys are watching me do this here. All right, let's see. All right, so Kayla, oh, you guys say you got them. All right, so we're this one. This one is negative 21. This one is positive 12. And this one is positive 40. Does that make sense to you guys? I'm going to assume silence is golden. So we're gonna go on. Good. Okay. We're gonna make, you guys are getting everything. So we're gonna make it a little tougher. I'm smiling. Okay. Here we go. Let's go with, yeah, we're gonna make it harder. Let's go, we're gonna make it, we're gonna do this, so let's go this. Where, if I do text, can I write in the text? I don't know. Let's go, I know. Okay, we're gonna go 20 minus 13 Can I do this? No. Do that? No, we're getting too fancy. I'm still learning this, guys. Okay, getting too fancy here. Okay, we're gonna do this. 20. Now I'm writing like Neanderthal man. Sorry, 20 divided by 13. No, we don't want to do that one. That's a bad one. Hold on. We're going to go 7 times 3 over, and then we'll go like this, plus 4. Yeah, we're getting kind of tough now. Divided by 5. Okay. Order of operations stuff. Okay. So this is kind of tougher. This is kind of a preview of what we're going to be doing. Okay. So multiplication comes first. You have to do 7 times 3 first. Then you have to add the 4. And then you have to divide it by 5. See if you two can do that. Oh, brother. Whatever. All right. Okay. 4. Four times -4 over -8 times -2. Try again. Finally stumped him. So you go 4 times negative 4 is negative 16, right? And then we have a negative times a negative is positive, okay? So we have one negative, so we have 16, negative 16 divided by 16. So we have one negative, so it's an odd number of negatives. So you have 16 divided by 16, and it's a negative. So it's gonna be what? So if there's only one negative, it's gonna make it it's an odd number of negatives. Remember what we said earlier? You have odd number of negatives and even number of negatives. If it's an even number of negatives, it's going to be positive. So if it's an odd number of negatives, it's going to be so any number divided by itself is always going to be what? Any number divided by itself is always going to be 1. Remember that. And so any number divided by itself is always going to be 1. And because there's only one negative, it's going to be negative, okay? So here, let me show you something real quick. This is a really good one to do for you guys here. Let me clear it off real quick. So they try to get you on this on tests. So when you solve something like this, let's say 11 twelfths. And let's say you solve it and it's like this, it's going to be a negative. Let's say it solves like this. The two negatives cancel each other out, which will make it positive. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're doing a test. Sometimes when you end up going through all of the work, it'll end up like you'll have a negative here and a negative here. These two will cancel out, and then they'll just end up being like a positive. But if it ends up being like, if it solves like being 11 twelfths, and let's say there's a negative down there, then it just ends up being 11 twelfths, like that. Okay? So that's how they do it. They try, the test makers try to trick you into that, where in the end, they might have a negative up top, or a negative down at the bottom, or they might have it both. If they have a negative at the top and the bottom, here, I'll do an example problem. So let's do this. If we have a problem like this, so let's go 6 minus 8 over 7 minus 10. Okay, so 6 minus 8 equals negative 2. 7 minus 10 equals negative 3. So now, because the two negatives, those two cancel each other out, so then that just becomes 2 thirds. Okay, so excuse me. So that is a common. I didn't even plan on going over that during the lesson. That is a very common thing that they'll throw at you on the practice test as well as on the real test. So be on the lookout for that. They'll have answers or questions where they will try to hit you with these negatives, where there'll be one or the other. If it's one or the other, if there's only one negative on the top or the bottom, then the whole answer is negative. If there's a negative for the top and the bottom, then they cancel each other out, and then the answer is positive. I think we'll stop there. So I think that's it for today. Tomorrow, have a calculator with you. We're going to do powers and roots. This is one of those lessons where we have a lot of, thank you, Caleb, where you have a lot of, where I hit you with a lot of stuff where it's a lot of quick hitter type of information, where I can give you lots of little cheats that we can, where you can learn a lot to get easy answers for the test. All right. So until tomorrow, you guys have a great day. And then Mike is going to be having his social studies class at 11:15. So until then, you guys take care. Oh, Alex was on there. All right. See you, Kimmy. Have a good one. Bye-bye.